So a few days ago, I had a chat with my client and he needed a system that would allow him to monitor of his healthcare records, particularly his blood sugar level. He needed a program that would automatically give him the status of his BMI, blood sugar level, and blood pressure, and that would allow him to retrieve the recorded information to keep track of his health. Thus, I proposed a simple record management system for patients that allows the user to create and append records, view existing records, and calculate significant data like BMI, the average diastolic, the average systolic, and average sugar levels, and then interpret the results. I called it DiaBEATest, a healthcare record management system for your blood sugar level. The program provides a user-friendly interface for creating and appending patient records, including personal information, current medical data, and historical data. The program also provides a user-friendly interface for creating and appending patient records, including personal information, current medical data, and historical data. The program provides a way for users to view existing patient records, and it stores patient information in individual text files for easy access and retrieval. I'm Novim Kate B. Barbosa, and this is how I did it. I use stdio.h, stdlive.h, and string.h C libraries for input and output operations, string manipulation, and memory allocation. Structure is a programming technique I use in getting the personal and health information of the patient. It contains various variables like the patient's first name, patient's last name, full name, birth month, birthday, birth year, ID number, height, weight, including the current month, current day, and current year. After declaring the structure, I declare the two functions, namely calculate BMI, input data, and calculate average. This means that I use the function called programming technique in calculating the health information. So the main function starts by initializing variables including a struct patient called small letter patient and an array of integers for diastolic, systolic, and sugar. It also initializes some float variables for BMI, average diastolic, average systolic, average sugar, and an int variable for choice, and two variables for file underscore name and file name. The program then enters a while loop that continues until the user exits the program. The loop starts by displaying a menu with three options, that is to create or update a new patient account, show patient record, and exit. What I meant by update is when the user wants to append another data to the record system. Based on the user's selection, the program enters a switch statement. If the user chooses option number 1, the program prompts the user to enter the patient ID and then creates a file using that ID number. The text file mode that I used is the append and write mode. It means that if the patient ID number is not yet recorded in the system, it creates a new file using that ID number. But if it is an existing ID number, the data that we're about to enter will append inside that existing file. Next, the program prompts the user to enter the current date and personal information like first name, last name, birth date, height, and weight. The program then concatenates the first and last name with a space in between and stores it in the full name variable using for loop. It then calls the calculate BMI functions, which calculates the patient's BMI using the patient's height and weight. After, the program calls the input data function, which prompts the user to enter the patient's diastolic, systolic, and sugar levels. It then calls the calculate average function, which calculates the average of the diastolic, systolic, and sugar levels, and stores it in the average diastolic, average systolic, average sugar variables respectively. I use pointers and arrays in calculating the BMI, average diastolic, average systolic, and average sugar, and in getting the diastolic, systolic, and sugar levels from the patient. To assign which status will the average of these variables fall, I used an if-else statement. The program then writes the patient's information to the file using the fprintf function. If the user selects option 2, the program prompts the user to enter a patient ID and then opens the corresponding file for reading. It then reads the patient's information from the file and displays it to the user. And if the user selects option 3, the program exits the while loop and the program ends. But before I forget, the C program contains system CLS to clear screen before showing a new output to avoid disorderliness of displays. In summary, a flowchart of the program is shown on your screen. Now, let's see how my program would look if we execute the code. The program starts with a while loop environment. The loop continues until the user exits the program. The loop displays a menu with 3 options: create or append a new patient account, show a patient record, and exit. So here, based on the user's choice, the program enters different environments. We will first see what's inside option 1. Using the system clear, it clears the screen to avoid disorderliness. The program then prompts the user to enter a patient number or patient ID number. The patient ID number that we're about to enter does not yet exist. Therefore, it creates a new text file where the program will store the recorded data. So in this new environment, the personal information of the patient and the current date is asked. Then, the health information of the patient. So it says here that the data is successfully recorded, and it gives you the options again if you want to write, append, read, or exit the program. Let's choose option 1 again and try to append the file using an existing patient ID number. Now let's see if our data was recorded. Let's try the other option. Option number 2 prompts the user to enter a patient ID number and then opens the corresponding file for reading. We can see here that our program writes our data records and appends the updated record with the same file. Let's select option number 3 to exit the program. As I said earlier, it is a program that writes and appends information, therefore it is clear that we use text files to store our data. Here is the file that we made earlier out of the patient number. It shows here that the system was successfully programmed and it is ready for our client to use. So that's all. This is Novum Gateway Barbosa, and now you know how the DiaBEATest works and how I made the system. Thanks for watching.